Antarctica, the coldest, most remote continent on Earth, is beginning to reveal a dramatic story, one written in ice and unfolding in real time. A massive crack has been observed cutting through the frozen landscape, and this discovery has sparked a critical question: is Antarctica splitting? The sight of such a fracture is not merely a geological curiosity, it is a sign of deep changes happening at the bottom of the world, changes with global consequences. To understand what this crack means, we must look at the science behind it, the forces driving it, and the potential future it may signal. Antarctica's ice sheet is not a single solid block. It is a dynamic and shifting mass shaped by temperature, pressure, and motion. Cracks do not appear suddenly without reason. They form when the ice becomes stressed, often due to warming temperatures or the movement of enormous glaciers. When experts first observed this massive crack, it was clear that something far more significant might be happening beneath the surface. Over recent decades, scientists have been closely monitoring the West Antarctic ice sheet in particular, which has been showing increased signs of weakness and instability. Warmer ocean waters have been creeping beneath ice shelves, thinning them from below and making them more vulnerable to fractures. A crack of this scale raises concerns because ice shelves act like dams holding back larger glaciers. When they weaken or collapse, the glaciers behind them can accelerate toward the sea. If a major ice shelf were to break apart, it could trigger a chain reaction leading to rising sea levels worldwide. For coastal communities, this is not a distant or hypothetical threat. It is a real and measurable risk. Even a small rise in sea level can lead to flooding, erosion, and powerful storm surges affecting millions of lives. But what makes this particular crack more alarming is not just its size, but its location. Certain regions of Antarctica rest on bedrock that slopes downward inland. This means that once the ice retreats past a certain point, it can continue collapsing in a runaway process. Scientists call this marine ice sheet instability. If triggered on a large scale, it could lead to dramatic sea level rise over the coming centuries. The massive crack may be an early indicator that parts of the ice sheet are reaching a critical threshold. However, it is important to remember that Antarctica is immense, and a single crack does not mean the entire continent is breaking in half. The idea of Antarctica splitting apart is not something that will happen in a dramatic instant, like a movie scene. Instead, if it happens, it will be a slow process unfolding over decades or centuries. The crack is a sign of stress, not a confirmation of an immediate rupture. Yet it cannot be ignored. Each fracture is a clue, revealing the pressures building beneath the ice and providing insight into the future trajectory of the continent. The forces at play are not solely natural. Human-driven climate change has dramatically altered the conditions in the polar regions. Antarctica, once thought to be isolated from outside influence, is now experiencing record melting. Warmer air temperatures weaken the ice from above, while warming ocean waters erode it from below. When scientists observe massive cracks, they are witnessing the visible scars of an invisible process, the slow warming of the Earth. Beyond the science, the crack has symbolic importance. It challenges us to consider the fragility of a world that many assume is permanent and unchanging. Antarctica feels eternal, a frozen realm untouched by time, but the crack reminds us that even the most resilient natural structures can be altered. What happens in Antarctica does not stay in Antarctica. The continent influences weather patterns, ocean currents, and global climate systems. A change there is a change everywhere. Some researchers believe we may already be crossing tipping points, thresholds, beyond which certain changes become irreversible. Ice sheet collapse is not something that humanity can easily repair. If large portions of Antarctica's ice break away, the consequences will continue for centuries regardless of future actions. Yet, it would be incorrect to say that we are powerless. The rate and scale of these changes can still be influenced. Reducing global warming, protecting fragile ecosystems, and improving climate resilience can slow the worst outcomes. The massive crack also underscores the importance of scientific research. Antarctica is remote and harsh, making observation challenging. Satellites, robotic instruments, and field missions are essential to study the ice and understand how it is responding to warming. Every measurement brings clarity: how fast the ice is moving, how thick it is, how deep the crack extends. Without this data, we would be navigating blindly. With it, we can model future scenarios and prepare for what may come. It is crucial to view this crack not as a moment of panic, but as a call to awareness. Antarctica is giving us signals, and it is our responsibility to listen. The presence of such a fracture tells us that the ice is under stress, that temperature patterns are shifting, and that the stability of the continent is not guaranteed. It pushes us to reflect on the choices we make today, choices in energy, land use, and conservation. These decisions will shape the world that future generations inherit. In the end, whether Antarctica is splitting is not a yes or no question. It is a process already in motion, defined by pressure, temperature, and time. The crack we observe today. Why is part of a larger narrative, a story of a changing planet. It is a warning, but also an opportunity to invest in science, to understand the forces shaping our world, and to take action that respects the delicate balance sustaining life on Earth. As we watch Antarctica's ice crack and shift, we must recognize what is truly at stake. This continent is not distant from our lives. Its stability affects the oceans we rely on, the weather we experience, and the coastlines we call home. The crack is not just a fracture in ice. It's a fracture in our illusion that Earth's systems are unshakable. It forces us to confront a reality where human actions matter, where climate change is visible, and where the future is shaped not by denial, but by understanding. So, the question remains, is Antarctica splitting? Perhaps not in the dramatic sense the phrase suggests, but the seeds of major transformation are undeniably present. The crack serves as evidence that stress is building, that warming is accelerating, and that Antarctica is entering a new phase. The choices we make today, scientific, environmental, and political, will determine whether this crack becomes a turning point toward disaster or a catalyst for meaningful change. Antarctica may be far away, but its fate and ours are intertwined. The crack in the ice is a warning we cannot afford to ignore.